Hey guys, hey homies, hey fellas and my friends. My name is Raz and welcome back to Sound Design Saturday. Firstly, I apologize for any noise and any stuff you hear in the background. There's a construction currently going on in front, just right in front of my bedroom studio. Damn, but forget about it. Nothing can stop us. Anyway, today we'll be making a cool bass house, bass house sound with silent one. So it sounds something like this one. Whoops, not that one. My bad. My bad. My bad. So I got that one from the Tracks 4 by Rowland Evans, and it sounds something like this one. So they could have used Massive. I can tell by the way the distortion affects the sound, but I'm really itching to use silent because I haven't touched it in a while. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be using for now. So let's jump into the sound. Go ahead and open Silent One. You should come up with a basic subtle wave like this one. If not, you can initialize it via the menu up here and just hit an init preset. It's also a good thing if you could start with a blank patch like this without any other stuff, because if you want to build your own banks of the sounds you use, this is a good time and a good place to start. So the MIDI is available for download. I started to share the MIDI recently because people are asking me for it. So I just copied and pasted that one here and routed this to Mixer 3, which is still pretty blank by now. We'll get to that later. Whoa, shut up. First thing we want to do is to pitch this oscillator down. So that's the first oscillator in the first part. And make sure it's just a plain sawtooth wave like this. Next thing we want to do is to do the same to the other side. So just copy and paste that. So now we have two oscillators identical to each other. For the second oscillator, you'd like to turn the volume down to around 3. Just like that. It's very subtle, very weak. And you'd like to crank the phase position up to somewhere around 20 degrees. So what this does is it kind of delays the sound a little bit. It starts at a slightly different starting position whenever you hit the note. And because of this switch right here, so it has to start 20 degrees to the right, further than the first oscillator. So this kind of phases with the first one and creates this kind of unique, a new character or timbre to the sound, which is pretty good. I know I've tackled this in the past already, but I just forgot what particular sound that was. Anyway, I can't recall, so let's just skip that one. Leave that behind us. Okay, so we have a bending note thing right there. So let's enable the mono legato glide down here. Just click the switch, turn it on, set this halfway, and you're pretty good with that. So it has that kind of bending, sliding thing. Kind of does that. So next is we'll use a distortion. So click this switch on this little box to turn it on and select the fallback option. And set this to 3.5. So it starts to sound gritty now, and that's good. So let's go to part B by clicking on this AB switch right here and change one oscillator into the noise. So it looks like this, this zigzag bunch of unrecognized lines or something. Turn the volume down to 15. Just very subtle to give it some bite, to give it some crunch. But it doesn't have to be super loud and washy and the things, whatever. Let's enable that by changing the voice from 0 to 1. You just want it to sit there. You know, it's there, but when you take it off, you realize that something's gone. That kind of thing. Now let's enable the filter by changing that to a low pass, so it looks something like this, where it kind of slopes down to the right side, and we make sure you're using a 12 decibel per octave slope, so just hit the switch to the 12 mark. And don't forget about the noise. I'd like to do the same to the other side. I could just copy and paste that one here. So you won't hear the noise for now because the filter is closing that. So next is to use the one of the envelopes Silent has. So envelope 1 or 2, either of these would work. Let's just use 2 because 1 is like, everyone uses 1. So let's just use 2. Select cutoff AB. So envelope 2 would be modulating the cutoff position of both parts. So it's going to be this one and this one. So these 3 knobs down here are like the global knobs. They control all the filters. Apart from this one, this only controls like specific filter section. Like this is for A, this one's only for B. So you like to set the global cutoff position for the filter all the way down. So it has to start at 0 or like 20, whatever the lowest frequency Silent can handle. Like 20 hertz maybe, let's just say. So you like to set the amount all the way up. And this attack kind of gives it the initial swell. So you'd like to set this around 1. Whoops, and the decay all the way up. Don't forget about this guy. So what this does is it kind of gives it a swell. I'll exaggerate a bit to give you guys what this guy does. So that's what gives the sound its wobble character, this kind of wah, wah at the beginning. Let's set that back to 1. And let's also crank the release all the way up, so we're giving it enough, no, not really enough, but so much space for our master amp. If we'd like to like mess with the release and add some bleeding, you have a lot of space to do that because the filter's release is like cranked like infinitely, or not really, but super duper long. So let's move on and enable the equalizer here, the EQ. Just click on this box, turn it on, and turn down the bass, the 2 bass knobs here, because we won't be using that to shape the bass for now. The treble around the 2 dB boost around 2K would be sufficient. Just to kind of emphasize the mid area a little bit, where human ears are very like, what do they call this? Like susceptible, or very, like we just pick up more frequencies from, more like, how do I, forget about it. If I figure this out, I'll just write it in the description of the video. Fuck me. It's so hot in my room. It's like an oven in here. Okay, so next is we can use the delay in here to create a kind of like a dimension expander, similar to Massive or like a third-party expert plugin. So the key is to set the delay time to a very short amount, like 1/32. 1/32, I'm sorry. That's 1/32. Damn. Smear, just make sure it's like really blurry, really wide. Feedback all the way down, so the delay only kicks in once. So this, oops, we're not hearing anything, sorry about that. So the dry wet controls the, it's kind of loud, controls the amount of like the effect. So 30 would be good, or slightly less if you don't want how it sounds, because it sounds kind of metallic. And disable the ping pong. So it does not bounce from left to right, it just stays put in the middle. So that's what we have. Now let's move on to the minor touches, which is setting the polyphony to 1 voice, because like I said, this is a bass, so you probably wouldn't want to play any like polyphonic notes or anything. Even though we have this on already, it already converts our synth into like a mono sound. But just to be super duper sure, I don't know, I'm just that kind of guy. So release, let's crank that to around 1 to let it bleed out a little bit. So if you want to sound like dreamy stuff or something, you can, or something or whatever. Let's just set that down to 1. And don't forget about the noise, so copy and paste that to part B. So they both get the same treatment. No racist thing there, nothing. We're all about equality. Yes. Classic Raz, ladies and gents. So pitch bend range around 12 semitones, so that's an octave. So you have a full octave of pitch to play with. Actually, two. If you start at the bottom, that goes up 2 octaves now. Okay, so that's it for this part. I'll just double check. Check. Okay, so we can now... Wait, I forgot one thing. Let me go check. This one, the resonance. Sorry about that. Around 2.5 would be a good point, starting point for this one. If you want to emphasize the way this filter moves, or there's another term for that, sweep, you can raise this up. That's what it does, that kind of thing. So I just set it back to 2.5. Now let's proceed to our mixer right here. So you just want to load up an EQ. First band, set that to a high pass, like which I already have here. Set that to around 350. It kind of makes the sound thin, but don't worry about that. We'll work on a separate sub in a moment. Next, enable another band and set that like 360. And let's cut around like 6 dBs in this part here. Make sure it's also thin, narrow. Just a tip or a suggestion, guys. Whenever you want to cut something, make sure you use very narrow cuts. And when boosting, use a wide band. So therefore, it doesn't really sound super obvious or destroys your sound in a bad way. Let's enable another band and set that to 560. And let's boost like around 3 dBs in that, and make sure it's not too wide, not too narrow, just maybe something like this one. Like that. And lastly, a low pass, because there's just a lot of noise and hiss up there from the distortion. Let's maybe cut around 15K on that one. Cool. Now, all we need to do is to layer a separate sub. So I have a sub here that I made earlier. So there's nothing in there. It's just some distortion and sine waves and stuff. So when we layer them together, cool. So the thing that I'm modulating here, as you can see, I have this automation, is this guy. The decay. So, looks like I didn't have it all the way up. Forgot about that. I have it like 30 to 31%, so that's going to be somewhere around like here, like 3.5. If you're on Ableton, there's an instrument rack, and you can just link this to a macro, which is easy. And here you can use like the control surface, but there's like a lot more things to do just to set it up. So I just automated this one straight right away. But there's no way to use the mod wheel or anything to like modulate the decay of the envelope here. Silent isn't really that super duper flexible, unlike Serum, where everything is almost like modulatable or controllable or anything. Something. Anyway, it's this thing you'd like to control the decay time of the filter. So that's what it does. Let's just link that one to this guy. Cool. So that's all I have to share for now. That's the swore bass from the Rowland Evans track. Wait, did I just say? That's the main bass sound from the swore track by Rowland Evans. So I hope you enjoy watching, and I hope that I've helped if you're working on some bass house track. And once again, this has been Raz, and God bless you guys. See you again next week. I've got some more stuff I want to share, and you don't want to miss that. See ya.